Mamallapuram is a history lover's paradise. The Shore Temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Mamallapuram also has India's oldest lighthouse. Other iconic attractions in Mamallapuram are the Panchrathas and the famous gravity-defying Krishna's butterball. The pristine Kovalam beach is one of India's 10 blue flag certified beaches.
Ladies and gentlemen, in another couple of minutes, we are starting the next session, so please be stay tuned. Thank you.
Place to surf or just relax by the sea. The capital city of Chennai comes with its finest beaches, marvelous architecture and vibrant colors. The magical town of Kanyakumari, at the southernmost tip of India, boasts jaw-dropping marvels and serene vistas. The Thiruvalluvar statue, an icon in itself, signifies love and wealth in the exuberant coastline of Tamil Nadu. Cruise along the coastline of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has the second longest coastline in India. It is a delightful mix of pristine beaches, ancient architecture, adventure, and charming coastal villages. The Gulf of Mannar is a biodiversity hotspot, a magical world of life underwater. The historical 2-kilometer long Pamban Bridge across the Indian Ocean to mainland India via parallel rail and road lines. Ramanathapuram is a land soaked in spirituality and enchantment like no other. The magnificent Ramanatha Swami temple here is a must visit for every tourist.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good afternoon to one and all. I hope all of you had lunch. Welcome back. Yes, back with full energy. Awesome. Thank you. So yes, dear lovely people, Tamil Nadu, with a coastal line stretching over 1,068 kilometers, holds immense potential for coastal tourism. Unlocking this potential calls for thoughtful planning, strong community participation, and alignment with coastal regulations. Our very next topic for the day is going to be building the coastal tourism backbone. So now, it's my pleasure to welcome the panel members on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, first up, I'd like to welcome a leading adventure athlete and mountaineer known for whitewater kayaking and alpine climbing. She is also a strong advocate for women's participation in adventure sports. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Anne Matias on stage. Welcome, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us. Next up, I'd like to welcome the Chairman and Managing Director of TT Group and President of the Surfing Federation of India, a pioneer in India's surfing and coastal adventure ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Arun Vasu. Thank you for joining us, sir. Next up, we are about to invite founder of Quest Adventure Sports Academy and a key figure in aquatic sports and adventure tourism. He has played an important role in skill development and grassroots training. Put your hands together in welcoming Mr. Jehin Driver. Welcome. Thank you. So next up, we'd like to welcome Mr. Neil Davidson, Paddy Territory Director, working closely with dive centers to promote diver safety, training, and sustainable scuba diving practices. Welcome, sir. Please join us. Okay, so the stage is filled with all the adventurous people. So yes, here we go. Over to the moderator.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Tamil Nadu has one of the most diverse and culturally rich coastlines in India. Along with its natural beauty, its biggest strength lies in its people, its communities, and the pioneers who've built the adventure and water sports ecosystem. Today, we are joined by three leaders who have helped shape India's coastal identity. When we speak about coastal tourism, what often comes to mind is always beach shacks, restaurants like Goa, things that are recreational. But today we're going to talk about sports, adventure sports, and the people who have developed them. So Mr. Arun, you're the president of the Surfing Federation of India. How did the surfing culture get developed in Tamil Nadu?
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So surfing today, I mean, India is on the world map for surfing. But if you go back a decade, 12, 13 years ago, nobody knew that there was even surfing in India. So when we started off, I mean, initially it was more a CSR project where we adopted one village, Kovalam, about 15 minutes from here, and introduced surfing to the fisher folk as an alternate to fishing. So, but to promote surfing as such, initially people were reluctant to come to the fishing village. They were, scared of the ocean. So it's not our culture to be in the ocean that much and swim. So, so we started off in a small way, 2012, where we hosted a kind of a music, surf, food festival. And surprisingly, we had about 1,500 people who came for this. And the idea was that they'd come for either music or food, which was more welcoming for them. But then they'd see some part of surfing. So we had the first nationals there, and this kind of grew. So long story short, 2023, our festival, we had close to about 35,000 people who came for this. Now, the reason I say this is because this is what translates to kind of surf tourism or sports tourism, whatever you want to call it. So the festival events, these are the things that have made Tamil Nadu kind of the surf mecca today. So so similarly, we had events in Mamallapuram. We had stand-up paddle events down in Rameshwaram. So we started moving around the coast. So today, of course, the Tamil Nadu leads as a surf sporting state. 3 out of the 4 who have qualified for the Asian Games are from Tamil Nadu. So I mean, it's a long way, and if you look at Tamil Nadu government, the last couple of years, what they've done is we had two major events. So one in 2023 was the World Surfing League, where we had about 16 countries that came in for that. And it was all held in Mahabs. Mamallapuram is probably the best surfing place in India, right? It's very consistent, and when it fires, it's, I don't know if you measure waves, but it's like 8 to 10 feet waves there. So, and then we hosted last August the Asian Surfing Championship. We had 200 athletes, we had 22 countries. Now this is what gives the impact to the state, right? So it was aired live. I think over 2.5 million people in 200 countries saw that India has evolved in surfing. So that translates to now more schools opening in surfing, stand-up paddle, of course, kayaking and all these things. And also you have a lot of people looking for surf spots. So any surfer who's addicted to the waves will always be looking for new spots. So that culture has now started here. So, I mean, as SFI president, I should be talking India-wise. And just to give you a number, like when we started here, 2012, there were probably 2 surf schools in Tamil Nadu. Today, there are close to about 15 stand-up paddle and surfing schools. In India, there were probably 8 surf schools. Today, there are over 90 along both the coasts. So this is the impact that we've created there, and it's only growing now. So I think the base is set, and it's only going to get bigger.
So Mr. Jehan, now we come to you. You've created a big ecosystem when it comes to water sports. How did you come to this part of the country?
I was searching for a windy location, following the wind, and at that point of time, I was looking for beautiful kite surfing spots around the coastline of India. And we happened to run a Red Bull event called Under the Wings, basically, where Ines Correa, she was the world #1 kiteboarder at that point of time. This is, I would say, 15 years ago. And we trained up, 4 youths from the coastal hamlets and got them up and riding, basically. So that was my introduction to Tamil Nadu. And I guess my family didn't see me after that. I happened to be here. I've been here since 15 years. We've set up an academy. We work very closely with a lot of aquatic sports on the coastline of the state, as well as other parts of India. But we call this home. This is the place where everything's happening.
As Mr. Arun had said, one of the major parts of setting up your entire ecosystem for sports is also getting the local communities involved. So how has the local community been a major part of your setup, and how have you given back, and how have they contributed to your setup?
So when we talk about building the coastal tourism backbone, it's a real life story. It's a real life understanding on how things actually worked out. You need a couple of things going for you if you have to actually attract coastal tourists or coastal tourism down to remote areas. Now, where we settle down is in the middle of nowhere, actually. While the town of Rameshwaram already attracts a lot of temple tourism, religious tourism, heritage tourism, the village we settle down in actually has got nothing around it besides the ocean and strong wind and good water conditions. Now, how do we go about marketing this to the rest of the world, and what are the standards that we create so that people come here and feel, like joining us for a program, a course, or actually practicing on their own? The community is key on that, basically, because in the end, it's the community that makes the region more than anybody else, right? And where we come in with some standards, with some ideas, with some methods, creating and introducing certain concepts, but building the community up, making sure that the coastal community, enjoys and gets as passionate about what we are doing as we are. And that's the only way the news will go out and people will actually come there and feel at home. And that's a huge contribution to safety as well, because if somebody observes you following certain standards, they adapt those standards, and then that goes worldwide thereafter. So the overall backbone of this conversation is actually the coastal community out here. And we found it very welcoming. It was a very warm, experience for us. Of course, there are ups and downs. You do have certain conflict here and there, but you know, once you're in the ocean, there's just one language. If you're doing wind sport, it's wind. If you're underwater, it's blowing bubbles, you know. In fact, Arun and me, we actually met at a national competition. Arun was windsurfing, I was kite surfing. And we actually had our first board meeting out there in Manapat. Do you remember? Kulusekarapatnam. And, you know, the passion is what has driven, you know, us where we are. And the community has come along. And now the community is leading in many ways. Like Arun said, there are more than 15 surf schools. They are being owned and operated by the coastal community out here. And that's great. That's really how it grows.
So, Mr. Neil, you're kind of a celebrity in the paddy world. Do introduce yourself.
I would not say I'm a celebrity, but I appreciate your introduction there. So yeah, my name's Neil. I work for Paddy. I'm the territory director for what we call Asia 2, which includes India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Timor-Leste. The why I'm definitely not an expert on Tamil Nadu or India at this time. I have been in experience with tourism in and around Southeast Asia for many, many years, working before in Thailand as well. So that's where I'm hoping to try and help out the discussions that we're talking about today.
Mr. Arun, so you've talked about how surfing came about to Tamil Nadu. What are the roles of these international festivals that you all have? What are the roles of your publicizing it? Now we've come over here today and we're spreading the awareness for the sport. How can the government help bring in international tourists?
So, like I mentioned, I mean, these events, these festivals, they kind of bring a larger audience to the sport, right? Still, with all that we've done over the years, there are still people who don't know surfing still exists, right? So, and especially if you go internal India and all that, they're still kind of surprised that we have a national team. So, the surf events like the World Surfing League, this gives an opportunity for the Indian surfers to get on to the larger circuit and get better. So they need to get out, they need to travel, because every wave is different, every coastline is different, so they need to experience that. It also brings in surfers into India, which spreads the word. So like what we have seen even last year with the ASC was the amount of people talking about India and wanting to go and surf in India today. So, and I'm not just talking about the mainland on the East Coast and West Coast. We have fantastic surf in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. Nicobar is still very unexplored. We have great surf in Lakshadweep. And the government's given us a mandate to start pushing surfing there as well. And those are world-class surf points. So, so surfers are looking for something new. So they will come, and they already are coming. And the beauty of all these surf hamlets that are coming up along the coast, actually the foreigners like to live in the fishing village. They want to experience what the locals do. They want to live with the fishermen and surf. So it's a nice ecosystem that is created there. So like Kovalam, for example, one is the surf schools, second is what we help them kind of set up bread and breakfast places. There are restaurants that have come in, hotels that have come in. So it's like, it's really, and I must add the real estate has gone up as well. So it's really added to the ecosystem there for that community. So more events from the government, definitely we would like them to continue having these international events. I think Tamil Nadu has taken the lead on this and it's been an amazing 3 years with the support we've got. So we just want it to continue.
And also talking about one point, India is pretty, like, we're still developing when it comes to the surfing scene. But you also mentioned that there was a bid that you all made and you all won over Japan. Which was that event you're talking about?
So that was last year. That was the Asian Surfing Championship. And the previous two events were held in the Maldives, and I think prior to that in Japan. So, so we kind of said we want this event here. And yes, we can't offer you Maldives waves and all, but we lucked out. Our waves were pretty good. So we put in a pitch, and we had the full backing of the Tamil Nadu government that said, just go with whatever they want. So we gave them the red carpet, treatment, and I think it worked, and everybody was really amazed and surprised with what we could offer here. So I'm definitely convinced that we'll have more of those events.
The reason this is so important, pointing this out, is because India, even though we're just starting out, they, on an equal merit basis, competed with other countries and still won the bid. So, that kind of realizes we're not just starting out, we're actually pretty good even when at this stage. So,
Not just the bid, we won the bronze as well. So
we won the bronze. Yes, so Mr. Jehan, you've also been conducting all these, these events, these international events. How has India been stepping up? Like, when you compare the events held in other countries, and how are we as Indians conducting these events? Are we on par or are we still catching up?
Oh, we deliver far beyond. We blow minds. So even at the Asian Surfing Championship, all the countries gave a special thanks to the hospitality that Tamil Nadu actually showed them. Number one is they didn't expect Mamallapuram to deliver as it delivered. It really delivered. The conditions were absolutely epic. Yeah, the waves were fantastic. The cultural performances were great. The accommodation was good. The food was amazing. And these events run over a long period of time, 10, 15 days, sometimes 20 days. So you are having those many international, I would say, ambassadors coming down from all over the world, speaking about how awesome the conditions are. And this didn't only happen with surfing, it's happened with sailing as well, it's happened with kite, it's happened with multiple sports this year in Tamil Nadu. So definitely a stepping stone, definitely at par or actually even better than most of the competitions that I've seen in other parts of the world. We definitely have it in us to deliver. It's just we've got to keep it consistent. We've got to make sure that every year we have something up our sleeve to show, on that front. And even our national competition scene, it's very organized, it's very well delivered, not only in surfing, sailing, other sports as well. It does attract a huge chunk of tourism because your team of athletes moving from one place to another is a part of tourism to start with. Then comes their families. Now this event is broadcast live. You've got, 100,000 people viewing it. I think in the ASC we had 1 million views, or it crossed 2.5 million views we had. So that many people are observing Mamallapuram conditions, culture, all around the world. So these are stepping stones, and definitely we can deliver. It is definitely out there.
Because at this very nascent stage, we are still beating and matching up to all the international, communities and countries. How have things been developed, Mr. Neil? How have things been developed in other countries? Tamil Nadu now, as a coastal state, is trying to develop and grow into, adventure sports tourism.
Yep.
How have other countries developed it?
So there's been a lot of obviously development in Southeast Asia in the years gone by, and some successful and some not so successful. So what Tamil Nadu need to really do is just make sure when they're building the backbone of this coastal tourism, it's built an infrastructure. And I don't mean just physical infrastructure like your airports, your hotels, your boats, and your harbours, which you obviously very much need. You also need to have different systems like safety systems, sustainability, and I think as the guys have been saying, which has been really cool to hear, is being able to be in touch with the local population and keep that local culture at the heart of what you do. There has been issues with other countries, such as in the Philippines, an island called Boracay, who basically did not regulate anything on that island for such a length of time that the beach was overcrowded, pollution was going into the ocean, which then caused major issues. So at the end of the day, the minister closed the island for 1 year, shut down tourism for 1 year, which obviously that's not the trap which the local government doesn't want to fall into. They want to make sure they're keeping it regulated, you've got safety at the top of the mind, and also building it sustainable. So it's not just a quick buck now, that the generations as they go through, you'll get more and more tourists come in. Not just not just domestic tourists, but international tourists as well. If they see that it's sustainable and it's built well, it's going to last, and it's obviously safe, they can do all the activities that the gentlemen here provide, and scuba diving as well in different areas of the state. That will then help build trust, build confidence, build reviews, and then that will then bring more people into the States, which is eventually what you want. So areas such as, for instance, it's very diving related this part, but you have Sipadan Island, but they have very regulated diving where they have permits per day, and the idea being they're trying to sustain that marine ecosystem. And the more governance you have, the more regulation, where it's really owned and developed by one window or one agency. There's not multiple ones where they will do this for their own benefit and that for their own benefit. They have one person who takes ownership, who's invested in succeeding for the state, that will then help all the major players and people invested in that area. Then that will then, on the flip side, bring more higher-end value divers to, higher-end tourists to you, which then helps sustainability and helps build that connection with the locals, would then help drive it forward in the future. So, yeah, I would say definitely don't go down the Boracay route, but look at the other areas where they have worked together with the local industry, or local culture, local people, but also had a good solid basis of safety and sustainability at the mind as they built out the tourism plan and tourism industry.
Like with any sport or anything development related, the point is never to go to a point where you're extractive. You think of long-term growth, sustainability. Now, Mr. Arun, when it comes to the sport of surfing, one of the aspects of sustainability is also safety. Because as safe as you can keep the people and as safe as the whole culture is, the more people are attracted to the sport. So what are the parameters and systems that the surfing regulatory body and the government have to put into place to make it a safe sport?
So firstly, I'd like to say that surfing has never had a fatal incident in India, touch wood, and we want to keep it that way. So SFI is governed by ISA, the International Surfing Association, and we basically follow everything that is laid down by them. And one thing is when we certify instructors, safety is always at, that's the primary thing that we look at. So all instructors that are certified by SFI, ISA, are lifeguard trained, from rescue both to, the first aid. So this is something that is non-negotiable to us. I know there are many home development, agencies that pop up in India, and it's very easy to give certifications. But I would really encourage that every sport has a national and an international body, and the reason they have that is to follow these rules. So it is better to lay down this thing. So in SFI, we are very clear about that. That's why we have, not all our surf schools are registered with us. So our mandate really every year is to get more and more of them registered so that they have the basics of having an instructor, lifeguard certified, all the categories there. So every state government, Tamil Nadu, we have been pushing that with both tourism and the sports ministry to say, don't deviate from this. So, so we need, the tourism body should be the governing body, and this is what we've been recommending the last few years, where they lay down the rules, but each of the adventure sports federations, as we're talking about that, the rules are governed by them. They take responsibility for that to make sure. And that's the only way to grow this without an incident. But also, it is an adventure sport. Incidents can happen, like if you're looking at, skydiving or one of the other sports, or even surfing. There are possibilities. Some of the reaction we've seen in India is when there is one little incident, immediate reaction is to shut down the sport. Now, more people die crossing the road or other things. So we do take a lot of precaution on this. So we need, and this comes with education. So we need to, it's a two-way process. We need to talk to the tourism officials, sport body, and vice versa. So I think this is something that is ongoing. We have, I would say we are active in about 6 states at the moment. That mostly it's southern because the waves are better here. We are pushing more to fall in line and register as state association. So yeah, it's a challenge, and state to state, there are different challenges, but we are quite confident of doing that.
So, Mr. Jehan, you also have sea kayaking expeditions and kite surfing, sailing. What are the differences? Like, what are the differences in each sport? What different requirements do each of these sports, require from your instructors in terms of infrastructure? And how has the state been facilitating you in setting these systems up?
So that's an excellent question, and just adding on to the whole sustainability angle of things, right? In the end, the sport we are pushing are human-powered or wind-powered sports, whether it's kite surfing, wind-powered, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, human-powered, surfing, wave-powered, diving, it's, going underwater, using your own energy to move around from one place to another to observe. The government has been extremely supportive, but there is a bit of research that we need to do and create a lot of awareness about the geography that's required for each of these activities to be epic, right? It's not like you can do anything anywhere. It starts by actually, defining water sports accurately. When people talk about water sports, the first thing that comes to mind is a jet ski or a boat ride or parasailing, and that's not what we are talking about out here. While that is mass tourism, that's a big part of what needs to develop. Simultaneously, this side, where it's human-powered, nature-powered, is kind of self-sustaining, sustainable on its own way. You wouldn't see a surfer littering or dirtying the environment, wouldn't see a surfer not factoring in safety, because you have to build that amount of knowledge, care, because your office is in the ocean, right? Now, of course, kite surfing is similar. The only difference is it's wind, and you need to choose a place that's got good quality wind, but not only that, the wind has to be in a certain direction to the shore. Now, if you're kite surfing in the waves, it's got to be a certain direction to the wave. So there's a whole lot of research that goes into it. Documents have to be made, awareness has to be created, standards have to be developed. Then you talk to the government. The government's always been very proactive and open to understanding, what we present to them. The one thing that Neil did say is having a one-window clearance, and that's something investors and academies and surf schools, everybody would highly appreciate, having a one-window clearance or a one-window, access to dealing with a multitude of departments. So when we started, we had 19 NOCs, no objection certificates. And when we did rafting in Maharashtra, we had 38 NOCs because we had to get an NOC from every panchayat that the raft crossed by. So this can be changed by having a one window, for investors to approach, for operators to approach, and similarly have an ombudsman for the industry, whether it's an accident, an incident, whether it's, liaison with media, whether it's liaison with the government, having an ombudsman from the side of the government. It really helps this industry grow. See, we aren't really an industry yet as adventure sports or adventure tourism. We fall under tourism, and tourism is under infrastructure. So it will take some time, but while it's happening, these are the important factors.
So, Mr. Neil, judging by how Tamil Nadu right now is asking for feedback from all the top players of this industry, what is your feedback to Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Nadu government? What should the tourism, the tourism ministry do that will help facilitate India in, because you have seen the growth in multiple countries. What have different countries done right, and what have different countries made mistakes in? So what are the mistakes we should not make, and what are the things we should copy from the other countries?
Yeah, good question. So, first of all, I'll say what they should try to look to avoid is by basically what you're saying, if they make it too complicated for businesses to register and get the permits they need, they won't do it. Then you end up with lots of different operators who are maybe not sticking to what we want as the overall goal, to promote this as a nice, sustainable and nice place to come for your international tourists and domestic tourists, because they don't have any rules to abide by. So you need to make it not easy, because they need to make it do the correct steps. So I'm not saying to make it as you go in and you get the permits you need, but to make sure that there is someone active, and basically, as I said before, they're invested and they're going to take ownership of this, and then they will look to engage with them to make sure that they join and that they can then be regulated, and that will then help improve the safety aspect. If there are incidents, which, as you said, we are dealing in a human sport, so accidents can happen. But yeah, if people are to overreact, for instance, every time, as Mr. Ayun said, that people cross the road and accidents happen, we don't close down the road. The next day it's open again. So it's the same as sports. Okay, yes, if there's an incident, we investigate it, learn from it, see how we can improve our systems from a state level down to the operator level. So the idea is keeping communication open with them. So yeah, definitely making sure that you make it easiest possible process to get in communication with the people who you need to get the permits and the documents from, so you can get them on board and get to work together with the different stakeholders. Other than that, I say the thing I would definitely advise is try to, you have 1,000 kilometers of coastline. That's quite a lot of retail on the land space. So I would probably look to pick and choose certain tourism zones that you maybe want to pick and choose and develop a bit further. Then that will help with the regulation and help then concentrate people to come in. And then again, yeah, make Tamil Nadu the final destination for the tourism, not a short stay. They can come down and do different aspects where there is a bit of scuba diving, there is some surfing, and they can try different activities. Same as what I've seen in, for instance, in Bali. We have a very strong surf community, we have a very strong diving community. Then there's the wildlife aspect of it as well, where they go up to the mountains, up to Ubud. So having some tourism areas where they can focus on, they can put more energy into this part, again, to get the local community in. That will help with the promotion going wide. That's a bit more of the responsible promotion of the industry, not trying to do everything at once, when then it becomes too much when you've got such a wide range of land to cover. So yeah, that would be my advice would be to make sure it's governed correctly. Someone takes ownership of it. You don't just hand it out to many people. They take ownership. They have investment in it. They want for the best of your state. And yeah, work with the local community. Focus on particular areas to develop. First of all, then you have stage 1, stage 2. But also at all the times, make sure you're making it sustainable. And having operators on board who are more invested in that area. Having the bigger operators, such as your big hotel chains, everything that goes around into it. Make sure they've got an eye on sustainability, that so when people do come, they get the best experience possible. They said, we as people in water sports, we clean the beach, okay, we clean the ocean, but we're a small community. We want to make sure the whole community that are coming here, through the local and the Tamil Nadu community and the tourists as well, they see this and they take this on board. So we can be the leaders as the water sports and adventure tourism champions, but we need to make sure that, and it coming from government as well, that these people are in the permits, they are active and trying to coordinate and regulate and support the local industries to make a change, make a difference to the coastal areas.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. See, I don't know if the others will agree with me, but in adventure sports, actually, less is more. So we don't need much for the activities. Like, for example, a surf point could just have a container or a shack running it. So when we ask for support from the government, we don't need massive concrete structures all over. We just need very little. And it goes with diving as well. They just need a proper place to launch the boat and get out. So it's, but in India, we do understand it's complicated because, one, of course, we have a massive population, and there is, what they call mass tourism, where, buses of people go to destinations, whether it's temple or just to a beach. I mean, Marina Beach during a holiday, none of us want to go to. But we need to cater to all of it. So we do understand the different segments. But adventure sports, most of the people who come, they want a quiet place where they're not really crowded and they want to be left alone. So it's identifying it. So it doesn't mean that the entire 1,000 kilometers needs to be, chock-a-block with activities. It needs to be selected.
No, but while, just to add to that, while we talk about, the whole mass tourism and different niches, while this segment is a niche, the purchasing power or the spending capacity at a regional level is far higher, like in this segment, because in the end it attracts the kind of tourist or traveler who's an explorer, who is willing to spend a lot more for what happens. The room nights also increase. So somebody coming in for let's say a diving course or a surfing program or anything, would spend at least a week as compared to somebody coming just for one night to the destination.
So ending up on that point, we're open to taking a few questions from the audience over here. Anyone with a question? Yes.
Yes, could we pass the mic, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yuvanesh. My family has been running a successful small guest house in Mamallapuram for the last 42 years. So Mamallapuram, for the last 10 years at least, was considered a quick stopover from the airport. You do half-day sightseeing, lunch, and then move on. Now, slowly that's changed. Thanks to Mr. Vasu as well. Bringing in many surf tournaments here that has helped us in a big way. Those have been one of the best, revenue-generating month for us. Now, how do we prepare ourselves? How do we groom ourselves better? Small guest houses. I mean, big hotels are being taken care. They do get in, enough and more. But how do we prepare ourselves for such events? What are we doing wrong, or what can we do better?
So, see, I think firstly the trend is slowly moving in India from bigger hotels to smaller properties. An example is Sri Lanka and some of the other places. So I think it's a good thing to have small properties. See, events when they come in, these large events are a one-off where you have not just the athletes, but then you get another 500,000 people coming to just watch and stay. So those are events that we are hoping will continue. But Mamallapuram is already like now known as a surf destination, right? So I think, and this is what I believe, I think one shouldn't be doing it on their own. You can get your whole community together, and this is what we've been trying to drive there, saying work together, because the village will benefit long run as a surf destination. So you already have a selling point. Mamallapuram, all the historical thing is there, and surfing is now there. So position it more as a surf guest house or something like that. There are people willing to come, and they just need a clean room, clean sheets, and a clean bathroom. They don't need anything fancy. So I feel that thing is changing. And just to give you an example of Kovalam, 10 years ago it didn't exist. Nobody wanted to go to that village. But today there are, 50 guest houses there, and it survived. It started off with surfing. But Mamallapuram already had a head start. So I feel this is only going to grow. And I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Okay, so the next question, someone else with a question? Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all three of you. Very insightful, learned a lot. This question is for all three of you. What do you think is different to develop a coastal sporting facility in a more rural or a kind of remote area as compared to a more urban area? So from your experience of Mamallapuram, if we call it more urban or close to a big urban center, versus Jehan, you are in a more remote location, and Neil, if you could talk more about your experience of how it is handled outside India in some other countries. So the comparison between these big cities and the remote urban locations. I'd like to hear your experiences on that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So my experience, mainly I've been living in Indonesia for the last 6 years, and this happens quite a lot. But as we just said, for generally our sports, we don't need that much to set up at the beginning. Scuba diving, you need a bit more because you need to be able to pump the tanks, which is probably the compressor being the main part. But as long as you have a shop, you get the basic equipment in, you obviously will, whatever sport you're choosing to do, you'll be choosing the area that has the wind, has the surf, or has the marine life, for myself. Generally, it doesn't take too much to set up, even compared to as a urban area. The main thing then you have to consider is basically what you were just saying. You have to have some basic accommodation. People who wish to travel and do adventure sports are generally not very pretentious. They need somewhere to sleep, somewhere to have some food, and then somewhere to go out onto the ocean to do whatever sport they see fit. So the general setup, whether it be on a remote island in Indonesia or a remote area here in Tamil Nadu or in a more urban area around, the general core of it is very much the same. Actually, doesn't make too much difference. The only thing you need to consider is that if you are a more remote area where there will be less people, is how you promote and market that area, how you get that name out. And obviously there's various ways to do that, but that's where you may need to collaborate with different travel agents, online travel agents, get some presence online, and make some connections with some PR companies. That would be where you the main difference would be, I would say, would be the marketing, because obviously there's less footfall in that area, there's less people to see it. So then you need to make sure you get that name out to make it successful, because at the end of the day, if it's not bringing people in, then it obviously won't probably last too long. So that's where would be the main part, I would say. But the general core setup, buying some scuba tanks, buying some surfboards, buying some kite surfing equipment, it's generally the same setup wherever you are. It's just then the promotion and the selling of it and again, making sure that it is then carried on in the correct manner, should I speak, to make people want to come back. And the biggest marketing tool is word of mouth, right? So if you do a good job, it's performed correctly. Friends tell friends, they write on Google, and as well your supplement your selling and your marketing to get people to come and join you.
See, I think being remote is good because again, there's a large audience that wants to ride away from all the chaos in the cities and all that. So, but of course, the location has to offer something. So either there's a surf or there's a good reef out there. Something special about the area or some history there. I think you can easily sell any place today in India because people are desperate to travel anywhere. People are riding everywhere, driving everywhere. So I don't see that as a deterrent at all. Or if it's something up in the hills again, people like, for example, our hill stations are so congested today. So nobody wants to stay in the town. They want to go outside in the middle of nowhere and just do a trek. So it's identifying that right place, I think, is important. And then working around that. I always believed an activity attached to a place is how the trend is going now. A big example are the big hotels that were already here on this coastline, which had no activity. And when we were trying to drive it, 25 years ago, they didn't find it important. Today they are desperate for it because people want to do something else. They just don't want to sit there. So one day, yes, but after that they want. So it's changed. That whole trend has changed. So I think there's opportunity everywhere for this.
But just to touch on the positives and the negatives, just out of personal experience, we tend to go to quieter locations because our target audience prefers that. They want to get away from the urban environment, and luckily the geography also works in that favor, right? Whereas for surfing, there are waves near the urban areas along our coastline as well as in remote areas. Wind, it's pretty much in the remote areas on that front. But I think some of the challenges in the remote areas is accommodation. We had to create our own. We had to, start off with camping. Then we went in for, some huts with thatch roofs, and we started increasing the comfort. We started off with 4 rooms, 1 dorm. Now there are 6 homestays around us, basically. So now the rural remote area is kind of urbanizing. There's no part of the India's coastline that won't urbanize. But if you are in a remote area, you've got to think about facilities for your target audience. And they will evolve as they come. Like when we start off, we are happy to pitch a tent, make a bonfire, put a barbecue out there. But a year later, the market also changes. You start getting people who seek a little bit more comfort. Your course duration also changes. More people come in for, experiencing it rather than exploring it. So these are a couple of dimensions that you look into, basically. And this actually touches in your question as well, sir. Tap into the surf industry as a whole, which means your networking should be with surf schools, talk to other homestays, talk to the Surfing Federation. There's a state federation in Tamil Nadu. Network, find out when events are happening, be a part of hosting events, few community pop-ups, talk about top surfers, and that will change the game for you when it comes to that. In the end, like Neil and Arun said, not much is required. We need, clean bed to sleep in, comfortable temperature, and great food and good conversations around the sport.
So just to add to your thing, one of the companies today that they announced are investing in is in caravans. Now this is a fantastic way to start to test a location. Buy a couple of caravans, park it on a small plot, and start any sport. I think that's something. I know somebody tried it some 30 years ago. It didn't work. It was too early. But India has changed. Tamil Nadu has changed. Last 10 years was our biggest change, and COVID did help us. Everyone wanted to get out. So I think the caravan option is a nice option for a remote location.
Yeah, hi sir, hi ma'am. So it was like a wonderful interaction with you people, and how do you think about Tamil Nadu, the tourism and the surfs? Like we see the surfs in the Western countries and Australia and New Zealand. So now Chennai is going to be a new surf arena. So how could you see the expansion, and what would the giveaway for the Global Summit tourism from our CMOT and Mr. Udayanidhi Stalin, Deputy CM of Tamil Nadu?
So yeah, like I've said, Tamil Nadu, I think, has now established itself as a surfing state, right? It's 10 years in making, but we are the leading state and winning all the medals, right? The drive is to have more events, of course, explore more locations. On our coast, I mean, surfing, like was mentioned, is little selective on where the best waves are. So there are probably a few more on our belt for surfing, which we will be exploring. But I feel it's, as far as the trend goes, it's already in motion. It's going to grow. In fact, there will be a point when probably surf points will get too crowded. And that's one of the concerns we all have. But then they will move on. Like we are working up the coast into Andhra, Orissa, all that. So things will move and people will find more spots. But it's going to grow. There's no stopping it now. And it's and probably why I chose surfing over any other sport that I was into was the accessibility to the ocean, right? It's free. You just walk in, and you just need a surfboard, which was the cheapest of all the equipment that we could find. So it was an easy entry for anyone to get into. And today, all these surf schools now, there are people who have started making surfboards now. So we have like 6 local board shapers, and this is something that we've been driving that we make in India soon. So it's all in that, it's moving the right way.
All right, so we shall be wrapping this discussion up over here. Thank you so much to the panelists, and thank you all.
Thank you so much. That was informative and engaging. Thank you. We highly appreciate. Can we give them a huge round of applause, please? I can see a very good friend of you over there. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, to felicitate them, I'm honored to invite Chief Operating Officer, Tamil Nadu Infrastructure Development Board, Mr. Ravindra, to kindly join us. Welcome, sir. We can start from the moderators. Yes. Put your hands together, please. So please, a small token of love and appreciation. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And one to the moderator over here. Thank you, ma'am. We highly appreciate. Thank you. Sir, if you don't mind, we can get a quick group picture. Please join them. Thank you. It's lovely to have all of you together. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, after diving into the coastal opportunities of Tamil Nadu,